Hello, it is about darn time to do this very detailed paper video, right? So I have a bunch of little notes that I took from the discussion before spring break and the extra credit assignment, where I tried to get an idea of where you were, what you might need to know, questions to answer, things to make sure I cover, and I have also written up more detailed instructions and I have created a grading rubric. So that's pretty much what I'm going to be covering here today. Before we start, I'm looking at my little post-it that I made on the computer for the specifics that I noticed from the discussion and the assignment. Very first thing I have written on here is excuses. Need to cover that. There are a lot of people who have excuses for why they haven't started something. It's really best to drop that. I know there are reasons it's difficult, but there is a very big difference between reason and excuse. There is no excuse to not have started on this when you were told in January that you needed to do this, and we are now at the end of March. That is just a lack of proper planning. Yes, a lot of people have very busy lives, but you're also taking a college class, so you kind of have to make it work. The wise people of the class read what was said and then systematically started working on just going through the different links and researching. Those who had not even begun by spring break, ooh, you are going to be very angry at how much you now have to do. But that's why you were supposed to do all that from the beginning. So whenever you feel yourself trying to say, well, I can't help it because I am a student athlete, or I have a full-time job, or I have 3 jobs, or I'm taking 6 classes, or any of these types of things. All of these are parts of your life. And yes, no doubt it can make things very challenging. But you decided to take the course. You need to do proper time management. Now, I will tell you right now, I get it. Believe me, I just started job number 5. I understand the whole time thing. If anybody who watches this is truly having time management issues and you would like feedback, like have a meeting with me and I can help you plan how to get things done, feel free. When I was an undergrad, I actually went to the counseling on campus and had somebody there help me figure it out because I was a single mom with 2 kids, special needs, was also working and overloaded every semester. And time management was a skill I did not have yet. And she helped me and helped me do proper planning to figure it out. So if I can help you with this, I totally will. Just ask me. Okay, amount of research. I have a note about amount of research. Different people are complaining about how much research it takes. Yeah, that's why I told you about it in January. And when I get to the grading rubric, you're going to know exactly how much you really need, and then I'm going to break it down for you. So I'm coming back to the amount of research, but yes, it's going to be a lot because that's kind of what you do in science is you research so you can learn. You can't just read something one time and think you've got it. The reason this paper is what it is I am trying to make sure that you actually comprehend what's going on pertaining to the environment. Which brings me to the reminder, this is about the environment, not trying to prove your point. Kind of right there. A lot of people have a very bad habit of finding whatever they can to back up what they already think. Don't do that. That's not helpful. It is more helpful to write down, this is what I think, and then do the science way of trying to prove yourself wrong. The internet is huge. You can always find somebody who will agree with you. That doesn't mean you're right. The whole point of this paper is to take the time to really learn, see what's actually happening, and use your critical thinking skills. And we'll come back to the critical thinking skills in a moment. Well, my very next point, must use critical thinking skills. So I guess we're coming back to the critical thinking skills right now. So critical thinking skills. Again, it's not about proving yourself right or wrong. It is about actually using your brain to see if something makes sense. So try to come up with a really good example that's not going to upset anyone, because I know when you're talking environment and science and anything pertaining to politics, you're going to make somebody mad every time. And people, especially here in the US, have a tendency to then just get their, for lack of a better phrase, get their panties in a wad and get defensive and refuse to acknowledge anything. This is what we're trying to avoid with the critical thinking. So, say that I have a bunch of flies in my kitchen, and I have decided having a bowl of fruit on the counter is what I really always wanted and what I need. That's what I grew up with. There's always been a bowl of fruit on my counter, always. And I have more and more flies. Logic would say, let's find out where these flies are coming from. If I notice that the flies are circling in the area of the fruit bowl, logic would dictate, make sure there's no rotten fruit in there. But if I grew up knowing that we've never had a piece of fruit rotten in that bowl, and we eat that fruit out of that bowl every single day, so there's no possible way something could be in this fruit bowl that's attracting the flies. Critical thinking would be, think it all out. Could there be anything in this bowl that's making the flies come there? It's ignoring the fact that I have always had a fruit bowl. It is ignoring the fact that I want the fruit bowl. It is ignoring the fact that I am eating things out of the fruit bowl. Critical thinking would be figure out why it's happening. So you would take all the fruit out of the bowl and take a look at each piece of fruit and take a look at the bowl. You might find that each piece of fruit is perfectly fine, at which point you need to look at the bowl. If you look at all the fruit, nothing's on any of the fruit, and you just throw it all back in the bowl without ever looking in the bowl, that's not logical. That is not critical thinking. If you notice all the fruit is perfectly fine, and then you look in the bowl and you find there's like something stuck on the bottom of the bowl that's been attracting the flies. I should have used ants. Ants would have been a much better analogy. You would then go, oh, something got in the bowl. And you would wash the bowl, dry the bowl, put the bowl back, put your fruit back in there. You can still have your bowl of fruit, but you have to actually look at everything and figure it out. Kind of what you're going to have to do here is, it does not matter whether you think our current administration is the best thing ever or the worst thing ever. It doesn't matter. We are looking at what is actually happening to the planet, our environment, how it's going to affect things. That whole bias thing, it's hard. And you can 100% put in your paper that I am biased towards or against and own it. But you have to actually use your own critical thinking skills and true, valid sources to back everything up. All right. Use current news articles. There have been plenty. Yes. Oh my gosh, yes. I'm hoping that at least some of you, when I first posted all those links for the executive orders that were getting signed in, or were getting signed on day one, January 20th, 2025, that you started keeping up with the news a little bit because holy crap, so much has been taking place. There is no reason for you not to have current news articles. None. I think we've had something pertaining to the environment in the news like every other day for 2 months. You've got plenty. Go find them. Some of them I've actually included in your weekly discussions. Feel free to, pilfer. That's why I put some of them in there. I will probably be posting some more in the folder for current news. I think that's what I titled it. You need current news articles. And when I say current news articles, I'm looking for less than a month old. And if you can slip some in within days of turning in your paper, that's even better. Let's see, help organizing to get it done. Some people said they were having trouble getting it done. That goes back to the time management. It can also come down to not having ever really written a paper or one that you have to put all your thoughts together. So again, for this one, if you're having trouble with the organizing part, contact me. We'll do a Zoom. We'll chat. I will help you figure it out. You pick my brain, I pick yours. We put it all together. You'll be good. Proper grammar. Oh, good God, yes. Proper grammar is a must. There are a lot of people who lose points randomly, and some that I'm trying to ignore that are not using proper grammar. You have to use proper grammar. This means capitalize the first letter of every sentence. That's a big one. Use real words, not abbreviations. Proofread. Everybody in this class is a college student. You should be able to write like a college student, not like a fifth grader. So if you need help with this, again, feel free to contact me. If you have like a little portion written and you're like, hey, can you tell me if this is the way I should be speaking? I'll totally give you feedback. Okay, Chat CPT. Oh, good God, don't use it. Stop it. I know so many of you have gotten to where you rely on this stupid AI crap. It's not good. Can it maybe help you with like a book, understanding something? Maybe, but more often than not, it's wrong when it comes to science. My boyfriend actually showed me an example of how wrong it was. And if anyone wants to see it, I'll pull up the screenshots he sent me a couple of months ago. Well, actually, not a couple of months ago. It was about a month ago when I was complaining about AI because he knows I hate it. He went into it and asked a question about the president of the United States. And the chat bot told him that Biden was the president. This was after January 20th. And so my boyfriend had to sit there and tell the AI bot, Chat CPT, that that it was I keep wanting to say G instead of C, and now I'm confused as to which it is. But anyway, the chat bot, he had to explain to the chat bot that it was past inauguration and we had a different president. And so he had to actually teach the AI how to give a proper answer. This happens more often than you realize. And so if you are relying on AI to master the material that you yourself should be using your own brain for, you might not get the right answer. This paper is worth 200 points. I don't think you want to waste that many points. So use your actual brain. The reason you're going to college, read the things, write down your own thoughts, and write your own paper. Very important, please. Then we have valid sources and White House website not being valid anymore. Yeah, you have to use valid sources for all of your sources. The whitehouse.gov, that is no longer a valid source. It pains me to say that. But the people in charge of that website are now removing so many things pertaining to the environment that it's no longer valid. They have removed and altered so many things pertaining to science that our own White House website is not valid anymore. The only way you can use whitehouse.gov for this paper is to quote what whitehouse.gov is saying, but it is not a valid source for actual fact. And to me, that's a very big problem. But you have to use valid sources. This means you can back it up. You can reproduce it with other valid sources. Newspapers are great. I plan to post an announcement that gives you a link that is great to use. I'm trying to remember the name of it, but my brain is blanking on it because I didn't put it on my Post-it. But there is this one website you can go to that has a whole lot of different news sources in there, and it will tell you which ones lean to the right, which ones lean to the left, which ones are the most central. It will tell you where this news source falls in the categories. So if you want to say, hey, I am a insert political field here, and I want to make sure I am looking at the ones that side on my side, this is one way you can do it. But I highly suggest look at the other side too. If you are only looking at right leaning or only looking at left leaning, although this is right and that's left, if you're only looking at one side or the other, you're not getting a full picture. I highly, highly, highly recommend look at both and look at the middle. So I will be putting in the announcements, a link to this website in order to help you decide what to use. Because this can then also remove the argument that so many people use when they try to say things like, well, the New York Times isn't to be trusted because it's clearly all Democrats. Or I truly don't know where the Washington Post falls, but those are the two subscriptions I have, which is why that's where a lot of your links come from. Making sure you are not pigeonholing yourself is key. It does not matter where on the political spectrum you lie. You need to go outside your comfort zone and look at more information to get a full picture. Because basically, I live in the Atlanta area. If I have never left the Atlanta area, I would have no idea what the rest of the state of Georgia looks like. If I had never left the state of Georgia, I wouldn't know what so much more of our country looks like. If I had never left the US to go travel, I would have no comprehension about what Belize is like, or Costa Rica, or Europe, or Argentina, or any of the other places I've been. The only way you can truly understand how things fully are is to get out of your comfort zone. You have to look at more information. So that falls under this part. I also have that you can be casual, but you need to be proper. I am 100% okay with things like, I had never really given any thought to this. Never in my life have I looked at an executive order. So this was rather eye-opening. When I first started looking at the executive orders, I was very confused. You can talk like that. You can make this entire paper like your very specific journey on finding the information. I'm okay with that. You can be more formal if you want. That's fine. It's your writing style. But you have to use real words, like I mentioned when I was talking about grammatically correct and things like that. So very specific, proper grammar, actual words, no text speak, but you can also be casual. I hope that answers that. Now, I am going to, I have to find it. I am going to show you the actual paper assignments. So then I can also read I wish this would just show normal. I hate this. Oh, there we go. And then I'm going to show you the grading rubric and then we'll be done. So I am going to share. There we go. So here is what the paper is going to be. When this opens, this is your information. So right here, at the start of the term, you were told the basics, like how to get started. This is where there were the 10 executive orders. And it says you can revisit that here. And there's a hyperlink to the paper details. Highly suggest that. Paper will be graded, says shall be graded on the following criteria. You have to recap all 10 executive orders signed on day 1 and explain how each is going to affect the environment. If multiple executive orders are going to affect it in the same way, you can totally lump them together. That's fine. But you have to make sure, I believe, you have read and somewhat comprehended all 10 of those executive orders I gave you on about January 20th. It is not only, I'm going to focus on this 1 or 2. You have to recap all 10. Okay? Politics. You have to actually look at how the politics are affecting the environment. You are not saying Republicans this, Democrats this. You are not saying Biden this, Trump this. You are not saying right this, left this. But the executive orders are government. It is politics. It is political. This is how we have laws that either protect or don't protect. So you do have to cover it. The executive orders are politics. You have to make reference to this. But again, you are not to say Republicans this, Democrats that. That's not the point of this. We are looking at the exact rule, law, guidance, whatever, and how it's affecting the environment. Okay. The economy. Oh, goodness. The number of times when talking about the environment, I have people say, but the economy, nope, taking it away from you. You can't do that. The only way you can say anything about the economy has to do with the environment. It's not, hey, we need these jobs and it's best for the economy if we drill, baby, drill. This is an environmental science class. Does not matter, because if all you're worried about is how much money is in some people's pockets while we all die because we have no air, we're focusing on environment. If you want to say something about the economy, I highly suggest not looking at the big words that go flashing out at people, but look at how much it will actually cost the average American. And I say the average American because this class is in the US. If we follow some of these rules, I don't mean short term, I mean long term. A lot of this you'll find in the energy part. Okay, written in your own words, no quotes. I know people will hate me for that one. I want your words. I do not want a Frankenstein paper where you have just copy and pasted so many things and stuck it together. You need to cite where you get your information, but I want it in your own words. That means you have to understand what it is you're writing. You have to understand what you're saying. Your own words. Now, the only, I guess I should say asterisk, the only caveat, the only part where I will not get mad at you or count off for quotes is if you are quoting like the title of the executive order. That's fine. Anything else, your own words. If you can't figure out how to say something in your own words, then that means you probably don't understand the material. You need to better comprehend. If you need help with that, again, contact me. Must be grammatically correct. I've already told you this. Must include news articles less than 1 month old. I already told you that one too. Use valid sources only. No Wikipedia, whitehouse.gov, blogs, or anything like that. All your sources have to be verifiable. I have to be able to look it up and say, yep, that's a verifiable source. Here's the part that's going to make a lot of people freak out. Must have a minimum of 10 valid sources. I know that's going to seem like a lot, but since there are 10 executive orders you're looking into, it's actually really easy. You need at least one per executive order. I think you should do 2 per executive order, but I was afraid if I said 20, people were going to just like pass out. So at least 10 valid sources. You must provide your personal thoughts on each of them and keep it focused on the environment. This means your thoughts, not just summaries, but what you think. And it could be, I have never really thought about this before, but now that I've been researching it, I am appalled, or I think it's great, and this is why. But you have to tell me what you actually think on all of it. Lots of thoughts. So many people this entire term have tried their hardest to never tell me what they think, and it really angers me. Because if people would actually think more and speak about what they really think, I think we'd be a much better nation. I think too many people dictate what people think, and too many people just parrot what they've heard and don't actually put any thought into it. I'm not telling you what to think. I'm just telling you, you have to think. Tie everything into the text and what has been covered throughout the term in this class. Again, this is a semester-long paper. We have been covering a lot of material. Dig back through it, tie it together. We will have covered pretty much everything by when you're turning in this paper. All of the executive orders should touch on everything in the textbook. And then you have to have a proper conclusion. Your conclusion has to include a prediction of how the planet or the environment will be in the next few years based on what's been happening since January 20th, 2025. Your conclusion needs to match the evidence you have provided throughout the paper. So this is where a huge part of your critical thinking is going to come into play. You have to look at the long game. Now the most asked question is about how long does it have to be? It really annoys me when that's the most important thing in people's heads. So I never give a minimum, ever. I do not have a word limit or a page limit. Because when you tell somebody it has to be at least 5 pages, you get so much crap put in there in order to fill up the space. There is no page limit. You just need to cover everything I told you to cover. Can you do that in 1 or 2 pages? No. If you think you have covered everything and you've only got 2 pages, trust me, you didn't. Because you've got 10 executive orders you're covering, minimum of 10 sources, your opinion, your thoughts, showing that you've thought it through and a proper conclusion. It's not possible to make it that short and actually cover everything. So instead of obsessing over word count or pages, obsess over actually giving me everything that's required in the paper. You have to have actual paragraphs and spacing. The number of people who will indent once and then turn in like 5-6 pages of a giant block of text. Oh, don't do that. Again, you're in college. You need to write like a college student. You should know how to make paragraphs now. And then when you watch this video, when you're working on the stuff, if you are like, oh my gosh, what did she say about it? Rewatch this video. Now, to show you the grading rubric, how do I get out of this one? There we go. I made a grading rubric for this. Well, I guess this is well, no, that's not what I meant to hit. Don't you hate when you hit the wrong thing? I'm going to go to edit. So, and then I can just click on the grading rubric and show you. Oh, that's the other thing. You can only turn in one attachment. One. Make sure everything is in that one attachment, including your works cited. So I would like to show you the entire rubric. Well, I guess I'll just have to do it this way, huh? Okay, so this is how it's going to go. You know, I have a better way to do this one. Hold on. I'm going to do this, and then I'm going to act like I'm grading somebody. So go to evaluation. Clearly, no one's been here yet. And I should totally should have seen how this would go, shouldn't I? Oh, that's the problem with multiple ways of teaching. Here we go. I've got it now. So this is your grading rubric. This is how I will grade you. Is I am going to just cover it this way. If you cover all 10 executive orders properly, I click here. If you focused on only one or none of them, I click here. So we're going to say you covered less than half. Politics. Look at this. It's an all or nothing. So if you only mention politics where it pertains to laws, I click here. Economy, if you just couldn't keep yourself from talking economy, I click here. In own words, say that you did really well. You put it in your own words. Grammatically correct. You had a few typos. You should have proofread a little bit better. There you go. News articles. Let's say that you really went to town and you did a lot of good ones. You used Wikipedia. Number of sources. You got tired, so you only did 6. Didn't want to give me your personal thoughts because you're one of those people that for some reason won't do it. Sort of tied it into your text, but you did a great conclusion and you had proper paragraphs. That would give you 28 out of 48 points. Or, yeah, the percentage. So that would give you a grade of 58%. So that would mean 200 divided. So that would not be a great score. This is how the grading rubric is going to work. So there you go. I realized the last thing I didn't specify format. It's because I don't care. I'm letting you be casual. You do have to have it somewhat formatted. It's just I have had to do papers in APA, MLA, Chicago, APSA, and medical. So I have had to do so many different formats. I really don't care. Whichever one you're the most comfortable with, just go with that. Just know you have to have the in-text citations, which means anytime you state a fact, oof, you have to put parentheses and where you got that from. And I don't mean the hyperlink. I mean the proper thing like Smith, 2015. Obviously it won't be 2015 because I'm telling you to be recent and current. So it's going to be 2025. And then a properly done works cited bibliography reference page. You know, pick the one that matches the format you want. So this is a big assignment. It takes time, which is why I gave you the first part in January. So you should have been working on it. I am hoping those who said they have been working on it really have, and I'm hoping this helps. Quick recap, I will be posting in the announcements a link for the place about those news sources that we were talking about. And I will be posting the stuff about the paper that will show up when the paper opens. I am also opening the paper for 2 weeks. So it will be due whenever the syllabus says. I want to say it's like April 25th or something like that. It will be due then, but I will open it 2 weeks ahead of time. So people who don't bother doing anything until the official assignment shows. That gives you 2 weeks to try to fake that you've been doing it the entire term. And it also opens early for those of you who have been kicking butt and are going to watch this video, look at the rubric, and work your butts off to get it done so you can turn it in early and have it off your shoulders. I highly recommend that option. So that's pretty much it. If you have questions, shoot me a message, ask. And if you need to set up like a Zoom session so we can talk things out, that's cool too. I'll totally do that. Just shoot me a message, preferably the actual email. And for anyone who still hasn't found the email address, even though I've stated it multiple times, look in the syllabus. When in doubt, look in the syllabus. Okay. I guess that's it.